So welcome everyone. This is Dr. Collinsu, aka TheChefDoc, and I am joined by Doni, right? And we are here at the Better Meat Co. here in West Sacramento. Super stoked. And we're going to be touring the lab facilities to see what goes inside of this great plant-based alternative company. Is that the best way to describe it, would you say?
We can say plant-based, definitely, but
Okay.
we'll learn a little bit more about it as we go.
Awesome. And tell us a little bit about what we're going to see today.
Today we are going to learn all about mycelium and how mycelium can be used as the basis for plant-based meats or for blending with meat. So it's a really great, more sustainable alternative to animal meat.
Okay. That sounds good. So off we go.
Sorry for the delay. All right, so this is Dr. Brad Bartholomai.
Hi, pleasure.
Basically, today I'm just going to kind of show you some of the stuff that we do in the lab, a little bit about our process. So as you see here, this big jug is full of our basically what comes out of our bioreactor. It kind of looks a little bit like applesauce. It's just a filamentous fungus. And when we process this, a lot of meat replacement products require a lot of processing and extrusion and things like that to get a texture that is similar to meat. But what you'll see here is that through a very simple process, we can take this, we can remove the liquid.
It's like straining cheese.
It is like straining cheese, yeah. All right, and so then we get something that looks like this. And so you can see if we tear that apart, that just has a texture that's kind of like tuna or chicken or this like kind of these long fibrous structures. And I'm sure as you can appreciate, fungi are very interesting because they have a structure very similar to muscle cells. So skeletal muscle are these long fibrous cells that have many nuclei in them, and fungi are exactly the same way. In fact, if you look at them under the microscope, as you can see here, here I have a strain where there are nuclei that have been stained with a green fluorescent protein, and you can see this kind of very busy network. And these are all nuclei moving around in a shared cytoplasm. Wow. And so because of these long cells, we are able to minimally process these. We're able to, when we go through our whole process, we're able to pack them so that they have a structure that is very similar to meat, because at the cellular level, they are very similar to meat. And I think they're just like really cool to look at. Here we have septins that are stained, and you could see those nuclei that were just flowing through the cells. And one thing that's very interesting about fungi is they have these little pores like this, and everything kind of gets squeezed through these little pores. So these are excellent organisms at performing biochemistry in somewhat like unimaginable circumstances. So they're chock full of protein. They're full of we have really great vitamins and minerals and everything that you would really need. We've done nutritional analysis on these, and they actually have more protein than eggs, more fiber than sweet potatoes, actually more potassium than sweet potatoes. They have more fiber than oats, and then they have more iron than beef, and that is per the reference amounts customarily consumed, which the USDA uses for labeling.
So can I ask a question?
Yeah, for sure.
So the stats that you just listed off, was that, I guess, on purpose to kind of appease like a certain type of consumer? Because obviously, in American society, we just want to have more protein. Or did it just naturally just produce this kind of nutritional profile?
Yeah, so that is actually just naturally how it is. I just started working here about 4 months ago, and I was hired basically to kind of optimize these things and see if we can improve strains, if we can make strains that have more protein, more fiber, more, if we want to produce certain vitamins or things like that. But this is just in its natural state. And so I think that there's a real opportunity here to even think outside of meat alternatives, but to really think of this as a whole food. I mean, we've been eating in our food system fungi since time immemorial. I mean, we eat fermented foods that have fungi in them. We eat mushrooms. We eat all kinds of things. And these are, there's no reason that we shouldn't be eating mycelium.
Yeah.
And mycelium is a really great source of these nutrients, as I listed for you, just in its natural state. And so I think there's a real opportunity here, like I said before, not to just think about meat alternatives, but to really kind of think about a new category of a nutritious food source that can provide us, protein, fiber, no cholesterol, because fungi don't make cholesterol, and very, very low fat.
So in terms of meat, we do know from the science that it produces a lot of inflammatory, mediators, markers. It sets off the body to a whole host of, I guess I like to call the rusting process, for a car. Whenever I talk to my patients, does the mycelium or the fungi, do any of that, especially through the process that you put it through?
No, actually, and it's really interesting that you brought that up, because we're in the process of publishing a paper in which we reviewed all of the kind of animal studies that have been done where animals have been fed this particular species of fungus. And actually what they found were that dietary fiber, polysaccharides from the cell wall of these fungi in mice that had been where they had basically inflammatory bowel disease induced in them. By feeding them this fiber, it was actually able to reverse that by selecting for good gut bacteria, and it actually there was some upregulation of anti-inflammatory cytokines.
Nice.
And so there's some really good evidence out there that fungal fiber is actually very good for animals in general.
So suffice to say that it's very, very good for the microbiome.
Yes. And actually another aspect is that I read a study in a different species, but they found that the iron was highly bioavailable. Actually, it was it was actually more bioavailable than the best supplements on the market. As far as I forget which form of iron is best, but
yeah. So you don't have to inject yourself with any vitamin C to make it more bioavailable, right?
Yeah, and actually it was also really interesting because you didn't get a rush of iron from it like you do from taking a supplement. It was kind of more slowly released because it was kind of coming into your system as the food was digested, because that cell wall is very tough. It's a defense mechanism for the fungus. So as your digestive system breaks that down, you are releasing the cellular contents, which provide you with the protein and the fiber and the iron and everything else.
Nice. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
She can move forward, and actually we're going to have you taste some products made of microprotein. So we're excited to get your feedback.
Awesome.
And see what you think.
Awesome. Let's go.
Let's go. All right, so I'm going to be tasting with you, but
Okay. Wow.
and then you're going to have some foie gras.
Oh man, some foie gras. Oh my goodness. I remember when I was, I think it was at the James Beard House in New York City, and there was a night where I was studying, and they were doing foie gras. And,
Oh, really?
and to be able to see this, hear that as a plant-based alternative is great.
Absolutely.
So.
Yep. All right,
Hello.
so this is Chef Jared.
Hi.
Hey, pleasure.
Great to meet you. So your first course, we have our microprotein jelly slices. So this is using our microprotein Rhiza, which you have seen or will see how the sausage is made. So
Awesome.
so enjoy.
Thank you.
Dr.
So-
Chef Jared.
This is our microprotein chicken. It's actually one of the newest applications that we have started to develop and improve. So please enjoy. So you have it with some romaine, some vegan parmesan, of course, and then some creamy pesto and pine nuts.
Thank you very much.
So you have our microprotein foie, which some people say it is the root of a mushroom. And then on that, it's a fig brioche in the shape of kind of a whimsical mushroom. You have a raspberry and strawberry powder, and then a onion, mushroom, black garlic, kind of the spots on top. So please enjoy.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I think he's having way too much fun in there. Wow. Wow, it just hits you. It definitely just hits you. And then it's almost like I forget what he mentioned, like fig or something like that. There's a nice subtle sweetness to it afterwards. There's like very, very almost impossible to see the difference between actual deli meat that you get off of the slicer versus what you see before you. So it's pretty incredible.
Kitchen, so I get all
You're probably like not as hungry
Oh no, yeah. Totally
because you're
right.
constantly smelling.
Yes.
I don't really know what kind of hair I'm going to be covering up, right? All right.
Right, so this is the first part of our facility. It's a really important part because in this area is where we prepare the media or the food that we're going to give to our organism. So if we walk over this way, we keep all of our ingredients.
It's nice and hot.
Yes, nice and warm in here, definitely. We use a thermal process to sterilize all of our, media. Make sure that no bacteria or anything we don't want in there gets in there. So this area right here, as I said, is a media preparation area. It's very highly automated, and this is basically where we create the food for the organism. And so we sterilize everything, make sure any bugs or anything are out. And then we store that media in these big tanks back here. They're called media tanks, and so we kind of store them there until we're ready to introduce it to the organism and let it grow. So that's where all of this happens. It's a really important step.
And how fast does it take to be able to go through the entire process?
Well, right now, we're just doing R&D, and so the whole process is, what's called a batch process. So basically, we prepare the media, we feed the organism, and in less than 24 hours, our organism actually grows and is ready for us to harvest. So it's a really efficient process. But the intention is to go continuous, and so to run it at all times. But right now, our organism takes less than a day to actually grow and create the food that we then package up and sell to big companies to use as a basis for their meat.
If the fermentation process goes beyond 24 hours, is there any like side effects? Is it better more than 24 hours, or you guys just found that 24 hours is a good sweet spot?
The timing shows the efficiency of the organism. The organism doesn't need any more time to take nutrients and turn them into protein. So it's actually, the shorter the better because you're more efficient. It doesn't really need any more time to grow. So that's what's great about this organism.
And in terms of energy input, in modern agriculture, we use a lot of water, right? Use a lot of land, use up a lot of grains and crops to feed the livestock. How much input, what kind of input and how much more or less compared to modern agriculture for this process?
It's significantly less. I mean, if you think about it, most plant-based meats or, products that are out in the market use isolates, plant isolates. So let's just take pea, for example. To make pea protein, you have to basically, take the whole land, harvest the protein, or harvest the pea, excuse me. Then you take the pea, you strip it of everything except for the protein. You take out everything else except for the protein. Then you have to mill it into a powder. Then you have to extrude it so that it has texture. All of that takes a significant amount of resources to do. Our process, we're not doing that. We're basically taking actually byproducts from from agricultural waste. We're feeding it to our organism. In less than 24 hours, it can grow. We harvest it and we package it. It's an incredibly less amount of resources that it uses.
No, that's awesome.
This is our seed reactor, which is basically the reactor that we use to grow our mycelium at the beginning of the process. So we introduce the organism here. We feed it a little bit of the media, and then it grows a little bit. And this sight glass allows us to see how it's doing, how it's growing. And so we leave it here for overnight. And then once it's ready and it has grown enough, then we introduce it to the larger reactor. And then that's when the process starts of, less than 24 hours. And then we harvest it.
Okay. Idea is to rely or make up like your own.
It was actually a team member here who had a lot of our plant technicians have a brewery background, and so they knew a lot about fermentation, and so we had a team member who said, we should have our own pantheon of gods and goddesses of fermentation. So that's what we've got here, and we have fermentia at the very top. This is what Rhiza looks like in its finished form. So after it's been in the reactor, all we do is we dewater it, we chop it up in little pieces, and then we dry it, we deactivate the organism. It is a living organism, so we have to deactivate it so it doesn't continue to grow. And then we package it up in these vacuum sealed bags, which now is, shelf stable, doesn't require any type of cold chain, refrigerated truck, or anything like that. Makes it a lot cheaper to transport, a lot easier to handle, and then this is how it gets to our customers. All they have to do is take it out of here, rehydrate it, and then off they go.
And they can use it as just basically a main product for whatever they want to turn it into.
That's right. It can be used, they can make their own plant-based meat out of this. They can blend it with other meat. Ground meat works really well. And actually the Rhiza really soaks up that moisture from the meat really well, and it can really be turned into anything, as you saw. So this is Rhiza, but in just much smaller granules, and this can also be used for products like foie gras or really anything else. But this works better for something that's going to be more of a cream or something like that, whereas this works better for the actual texture, the meatiness that you are looking for.
Awesome.
Very much so. He asked for the minimum amount of space. So.
Wow. Yes, Paul. Good job, buddy. Yeah, I love it.
And I just want to highlight a couple of things back in here, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
There's stuff here if you want. The very first patent that was submitted for a plant-based meat, and that was back in 1900 by Kellogg. And this picture down here is a copy of our patent that we got, and we just like to remind ourselves of how far, the times have gotten and how amazing it is that.
What year was this?
The object of my invention is to furnish a vegetable substitute for meat, which shall possess equal or greater nutritive value in equal or more available form for digestion and assimilation.
Nice.
Paul and Joanna and Gus, and this is a team when we were a really small team, we did an escape room together. This is actually when we first inaugurated this facility, when we finished it up and we invited everybody. The chamber came by and brought us the big scissors, and we opened up our facility for production, which has been exciting.
And that's you.
This is me accepting the Sacramento Region Innovation Award.
All right.
Yeah, so that was really exciting. This picture is the first time that we actually inoculated our seed reactor, so that was a big deal for us. It was very exciting times.
That's very exciting.
And then here we've got our VIP wall, so before you leave, we've got to get a picture of you so we can put it up on our VIP wall. So
Wow.
This is Arturo from Clara Foods. This building was originally a bouncy house for children. So kids would come here and bounce around and play around. And the beauty of it is now we have turned this into a facility where we're making food for the future of those same children so that they can continue to thrive.
Mm-hmm. And the goal is to ultimately scale and to make other facilities outside of the standalone place in West Sacramento.
Absolutely. This is really just our research and development facility. So we are going to build a full-scale facility where we are going to be producing millions and millions of pounds of Rhiza.
Nice, nice.
Mm-hmm. This is a picture of our first pallet of product going out. It's an exciting day. This is our director of engineering helping to put up our mural.
Oh, nice.
And then everybody here helps out, and sometimes we have to fix things and take out the trash, and everybody helps out, so it's great.
So I'm Jared Goldstein. I'm the associate chef here at the Better Meat Co. So I handle a lot of the product development and then the in-application. If we want to showcase the foie into a restaurant, I help with kind of bridging it into production.
Nice, nice. And what is your background? Did you come from like more of a traditional, background in terms of culinary? And then how did you find yourself to be here, which is such a innovative, progressive concept?
Of course. So I just grew up working in restaurants, and then I went to culinary school in New York, the Culinary Institute of America, for 2 years. Then I took a little bit of a hiatus. I went to work for Grant Achatz at Alenia for about a year and a half. 3 Michelin stars, it's been voted best restaurant year after year.
Yeah.
So that is as innovative as you can get in the realm of food. So just to continue with that innovation, I knew I wanted to go into food science research and development. So, and the plant-based sector is huge, it's growing. So it's a new type of innovation. No one's made plant-based foie before, so it's a space that fits perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah, so I've been able to try some of your food, and I'm really, really delighted to. I'm like perplexed, confused, taken aback pleasantly, but also like really, really happy to see these iterations come about. And when you were going into these recipes and thinking about it, what inspirations comes to mind when you are delving into these recipes? Is it part like consumer feedback? Is it more where the market trends are going? Like, how do you direct your culinary creative thinking?
Yeah. That's actually a great question. A lot of these big companies, their market is driven by, they buy in data. What do the consumers think? Here, we're a lot more free thinking. It's kind of, what do you think is going to be the next trend or what hasn't been done? So chicken is such a big protein in general. So to find a solution to chicken is a no-brainer. The foie was kind of I've used foie up until this point in my career. The way they make it is awful, so it was kind of, for me, no one's done it. Plant-based is just starting to get into fine dining, and this is a great way for us to jump into fine dining. It's illegal in California, it was illegal in Chicago, it's about to be illegal to sell in New York, so it's kind of whatever we come in, we just say, hey, let's try this. And regarding like techniques, how to make it come together, for me especially, a lot of it is like just knowledge from working into a kitchen. At the end of the day, all these products, they're emulsions, so it's just adding textures and flavors from there.
Mm-hmm. And, what would you say to fellow chef that looks at this with a raised eyebrow? And, what would you say to them in terms of, what you guys are doing here from a culinary aspect? And, how do you, bring down that critical naysaying, mindset?
Yes. I'll say first, give it a try. But actually, to quote the founder of Blue Nalu, I think he said it perfectly. At the end of the day, it's not plant-based, it's not animal-based. It's just a third choice. You can go into a restaurant right now. You can have farm-raised salmon. You can have wild salmon. So now you can have farm-raised salmon, wild salmon, and you can have a cruelty-free salmon. So if you look at it, it's just a third option. It's not we're out here pushing a certain lifestyle or a certain way of eating. It's the same products that you would eat, just it's made a little bit different.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you, Chef. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
So this is actually a picture of our organism over here eating some potato. And that potato this has all been dyed, and this
stained, yeah.
Yeah, so this is this purple area is the potato, and you can actively see our organism eating that, which is really exciting. And then down here is kind of the end product, right? Is we're able to make something like a chicken breast, and hopefully Rhiza will be able to save the planet.
Question is, why potatoes and not other types of, did you find that potatoes would be like the best source ingredients?
The organism is actually really incredible in that it can eat things like potatoes, which are high starch, but it can also eat corn byproducts as well. So all it really needs is a good source of nitrogen and carbon, and then it turns that into protein.
Where this organism is found the most is in burnt forests. And actually one of the really cool things is that the spores that are formed through reproduction are activated by heat. And so fungi are, if it weren't for fungi, the earth would just be piled up with leaf litter and things like that. And so they're actually always excreting these cellulases and like different enzymes that break down various plant matter and things like that. So there's a really just versatile range of different plant materials that we could use for a food source, which for using food waste products like byproducts from corn processing or any kind of plant processing, it's a great way to upcycle those things. So one of the really great things about our organism that we work with is it doesn't make any mycotoxins. There are no, and actually this organism was the first organism used to study molecular genetics. And then because it was easier to do in yeast and things like that, those kind of eclipsed it. But, we know more about this particular species of fungus as a fungal organism. It's not a human pathogen. It's not, there is no way that it can make people sick. So it's just inherently safe to consume. And so I think because we know so much about it, because there are so many people have looked at it in so many different ways, we found so many different natural variants of this species, there are lots of things that we can play around with like how different strains produce different nutrients, how different strains affect the texture of the final product. There are lots of different things that we can look at just because there's so much data on this particular organism.
So really great cultivars.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
This is Rhiza coming out of production. And then this is some bacon applications that our team member Danica has been working on.
Nice. Are there any pastry or dessert applications yet?
Yes, I mean just talking to Chef Jared, he has so many ideas that I'm sure if he had the time, he would turn it into whatever we wanted. We have made health bars with Rhiza before because it is so nutritious. It would actually make an excellent health bar. But yeah, you can do. I think we've made cookies before we've made it into powder and then turned it into dough. So yeah, we have actually made cookies before.
Nice. Because you gotta satisfy someone's sweet tooth. So.
Oh, absolutely. The meat tooth and the sweet tooth, we got it down.
Okay, there you go. So we are wrapping up for the tour of this wonderful, facility, looking at Rhiza and all its various, applications. So number one, I want to say thank you to you, Paul, everyone here, that's, doing such great things on really pushing humanity in terms of different ways, to know that we don't have to have just one option, but like Chef Jerry was saying, 3 options, or third option, or possibly, more, because there's so many great iterations that we can do. And the fact that, in terms of color, texture, culinary wise, and also the huge part, which I really love, is the sustainability, because, this decade is pretty critical in terms of our footprint and whether we could take control of the impact that we're making. So, so again, thank you for everything you guys are doing.
Thank you so much, Colin. We're just grateful that people are interested in what we're doing, that people come and tour and try our products. We're operating under a little bit of a feeling of, we don't have a lot of time to waste. Our planet isn't getting bigger, as Paul always says, but our impact is getting bigger on this planet. And so we feel a responsibility to act quickly. We want, all types of alternatives to succeed. We wish, we hope everybody can work together. And what we're doing is one small piece, but it is impactful. And we just are grateful to you that you're, sharing our story. And hopefully, we get some calls, people visiting us. We'd love to tour people and just show them around. But yeah, if anybody's interested in learning more, please, contact me. And I hope to see you again. We'll have a lot more food. We're always developing stuff, so I can't wait to show you what we do.
Yeah. We were just talking about desserts and, whether, you guys love satisfying the meat tooth, right? It's also satisfying the sweet tooth, because as Americans, we got to have our sweets, apparently. So are you more of a sweet or a savory?
I'm a savory.
Savory,
Definitely.
Yeah, same here,
Yeah.
same here. Yeah. So my last question is that where do you hope, where do you see the Better Meat Co. going in the next 3 to 5 years, and where do you hope to see it after that?
It's hard to say, where do we see ourselves in 15, 20 years. That's a long way forward for a small startup. But we're very aggressive and in our goals and our benchmarks. So within the next few years, we're going to be building out our first full-scale facility. That's going to be the first location where we're going to be able to produce millions and millions of pounds of Rhiza. We call it dry Rhiza. Mm-hmm. And so we are going to continue to be aggressive after that. So we're not going to be satisfied with just one location. We want to continue to grow. We want to go worldwide. There are agricultural byproducts all over the world, and we want to tap into that. We want to make sure that we can upcycle, that we can use those resources, use that infrastructure, and continue to grow and provide food for the planet. We're not just focused here in the United States. There are a lot of other countries that have a very, very high demand for meat, and that's where we want to be. We want to satisfy those countries and those areas of the world that are suffering because of that demand for meat. And so we see ourselves all over the world becoming one of the largest, or the largest, microprotein ingredient supplier. And we want to partner with the biggest companies in the world and help them develop the most delicious, but also affordable and accessible products.
Question I didn't ask is, why did you guys start in California, specifically in the Sacramento area first?
Yeah, a lot of people ask us that. Why aren't you in Silicon Valley or, where everybody else is? The Sacramento area is actually a really great location. We're close to the Silicon Valley, we're close to the Bay Area, so we can still attract a lot of really great talent, but the cost of living is a lot better here. The standard of living is a lot better here because you're not, fighting for places to live. Also, we have been just so grateful to the city of West Sacramento, the county of Yolo, because they've been so welcoming to this kind of, technology. This area is not really how, it doesn't really have a lot of these types of companies. And so when we came in here, they were super welcoming, helpful, and now they're attracting even more of, biotech kind of companies. And so it's just a great place to live. It's a great place to work. It's a lot cheaper, honestly, than the Bay Area. And we still have a lot of really wonderful, great talent here locally.
Awesome. Well, guys, this wraps up another episode here on the ChefDoc channel, and thank you again, for hosting us. And if people wanted to learn more in terms of, because I know that you guys are not doing direct to consumer right now, it's to other companies, but where can they find you guys?
So if you want to learn more information about our company or reach out, ask any questions, we always welcome hearing from anybody. So our website is www.bettermeat.co. And then also we do tastings. So if you're in the area or live anywhere around here, we do public tastings, and we love to get people's feedback on our food. So please sign up. You can do that through our website. And yeah, just reach out anytime.
Thank you, guys.